Hey everybody! This week I want to talk about how I think fishing in Hawaii is so different in terms of culture and practice than anywhere else in the world. So recently I've been seeing a lot of o'io or bonefish coming up, and it got me thinking because I know in Hawaii we love to eat the o'io, whether we make lomi o'io and eat it raw or make fish cake. It's something that we absolutely love to eat. But I think that's very unique to Hawaii. Everywhere else in the world, bonefish are these prized game fish. Everybody catches them and lets them go. And it really made me think, what else do we do in Hawaii that's unique just to us? I know personally, I enjoy eating probably 75 to 80% of all of the things I catch. I don't know exactly how much more fish Hawaii consumes per capita than the rest of the United States, but I'd be willing to bet it's close to double. Let me look that up real quick and I'll get back to you on exactly how much more we eat, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot. I know personally, I eat fish like once a week. And I can only think like in a year how many times I eat a 1 pound tub of poke. It's quite often. I would bet that I eat close to 40 to 50 pounds of fish a year. And I think that's true for a lot of us fishermen in Hawaii. I believe that a lot of our motivation is cultural and it's tradition. I know for me, my family grew up fishing and diving and basically, harvesting food from the ocean. That's one of the ways that we were able to keep our families fed. And I think just for that specific reason, a lot of our practices are different. I know that o'io are, good fun to catch, but I personally target it because I want to eat it. I don't look at the o'io and go, oh, you're going to be a good fight. So that's why I'm trying to catch you as a species. I'm thinking, oh, if I catch an o'io, I'm going to either make lomi o'io or I'm going to make fish cake and I'm going to have a really good couple of meals. And I think that perspective is something to keep in mind when we look at other fisheries in the world. I know that there's so much pride that comes from catching the 100-pound ulua, the 10-pound o'io. We have all these different benchmarks that we pride ourselves on in Hawaii. And I think when we're saying we pride ourselves on it, it's more of like I pride myself on knowing that I've caught this fish and I not only have a picture, but I can say, I have a gyotaku like the one I have in the back of me. Or I have, pictures of me eating it. And I think that's very different than sports fishing. When it comes to sports fishing, they're really in it for the fight. They want to let that fish go at the end of the day. And I can't say one is right and the other is wrong. But what I can say is when we look for sustainability and where the future of conservation is, I personally believe that slot limit, having different size ranges for the different fish are important. I know I've heard this acronym. It's BOFFF, big, old, fat, fertile fish. And really, it's something that is important to have in the stock because when you have these really large fish that are still reproducing out there in the wild, it has a lot to do with genetic diversity because when you have fish that are extremely large, they help to produce more large fish. Their genes are strong and, they're more likely to have offspring that are going to grow to a larger size. as well as, unlike humans, when you get really old, you no longer are able to have babies. The bigger the female fish, the more eggs they have, and the more viable the eggs are, the more likely they are to, develop into big fish and survive a long time. So really being able to isolate, letting the babies grow up to a certain size where we can catch them and know that, they're big enough, but then also having a cap on the upper end so that we're not taking the really, really big fish that are needed to keep the population going. Because really, I believe that the only way that we're going to continue to have a healthy population, a healthy stock of fish, isn't to like stop fishing altogether. I think it really is going to come down to managing the size of fish that we're keeping. Because let's be real, like 100-pound ulua, really big ulua, white ulua don't taste good. The giant trevally are not the most palatable, tasty fish. So I think a lot of it has to do with it being a trophy, with it being a prize. Like I said, we want that picture, we want that gyotaku. But in the long run, when you think about it, is it really, really worth it? Because when I think about, like, I don't have a huge ulua or GT. My biggest GT is probably less than 20 pounds. It's not big at all. And as I thought about it as I got older, I started thinking, you know what? If I catch a 60, 70, 80, 90, 100-pound ulua, is it really worth keeping it? Because I know I'm not really going to eat it. It doesn't taste great. Yeah, I can smoke it, but it doesn't have the same, table value as a smaller 10, 12, 15-pound fish. And how much damage am I doing by taking that fish out of the breeding population? Personally, I think Hawaii needs to start going towards a slot limit approach as opposed to just, having the minimums. We keep increasing the minimum size. I know recently, earlier this year, they increased the size for like manini, kole, kala, a lot of our reef fish. And I almost wonder if it's just a matter of time where they start doing that for our papio and for, the trevally and other species. But when I think about it, it's not just about increasing the minimum size. It also has to do with capping out at a certain size. We gotta keep those big breeding females, even the big males, because like I said, it's about the genetic diversity and it's about having those genes of the big fish out there in the wild still reproducing. Without having those big fish, our population is going to get smaller, and sooner or later we're just going to only have, small fish. And I think the only way to make a difference is to start now, because I don't think it's going to be something the government regulates, or, the Hawaii DLNR, DAR regulates for a long time. But if we together start making a conscious decision to let go some of those bigger fish, I truly believe it's going to do wonders for the population. And, to be honest with you guys, we're not going to know if it works for a generation or two. Honestly, it's going to be our grandkids. If they still have big ulua, big o'io out there, that's going to be it's going to be because of the stuff we're doing now. And it's really hard to explain that to people because there's no immediate action. You're not going to see the result right away. And I think that's what's hard, because we're so into this mindset of instant gratification. And I think that keeping a fishery healthy and maintaining the breeding stock is something that's important. And I think everybody making a conscious decision to try and release a big one every now and again, it's really going to make a difference. I know there are some guys who go out on the boat and they will only keep uku of a certain size. If the gray snapper, job fish, whatever you want to call it, is over a certain size, they throw it back. And that's because they want it to still be in that breeding population. And if we all can do a little bit to try and, do our part to throw back a big one every now and again, I really believe it's going to make a big difference. So that's my, I guess, word of advice, encouragement to all of you folks out there. Don't just keep the fish if you know it's not necessarily the most delicious fish. Don't just keep the fish because, you want a picture. Really think about it. Is it worth it? If I can let one fish go and then we have, 1,000 more 10 years from now, did I make the right decision of letting it go? For me personally, that answer is yes, but I need you guys to think about it because I think that's the only way we're going to have some sort of change in the coming future is for us to implement it. So I hope you guys hear me on what I'm saying and definitely give it a shot. Try it out. Let me know what you think. I know it's not the easiest decision to make, but I truly believe it's the right decision to make. I'll see you folks on next week.